Welcome. Good to have a few minutes together today, and we'll be in a couple of different spots in the Bible. But I wanted to take just a moment and mention our podcast. We have a couple of different podcasts. I have a podcast that I do, a Morning Moments podcast, and that goes. You can get that through our church website and through our church. I think it's through our church podcast anyway. Most of you are smart enough to find that. But we also have a unique podcast called Help for the Home. And that is, if you have any of our church bulletins, we regularly put in the little icons. You can see what it looks like. But we take sermons on the home, 20, 30 years old, sermons from various people that we love and respect, that we've watched their homes, their values, and line them up with the Scripture. And if you're married or if you're a single parent, I would encourage you to take time to step in and slip in and just listen to some. And there's a lot of them up. You can go listen to past ones, and they're not timely in the sense of you need the one for July or August of 2024. Some of the ones that my wife and I did, we're talking about, all of our kids are married, but we're talking about little kid things, and so. They're just about marriage and children, and those help for the home messages. I've gone back and listened to some of them, and there's just some great material and from a variety of people, and people that be a blessing to you. And so I want to encourage you: nurture your home, feed your family relationships. The devil wants our homes, and we need to work at this thing. And so I want to encourage you: take time to visit that website or that podcast. I don't know what you call it, but it's in all the different places you can look at podcasts, and I'm pretty ignorant of that stuff, but it'll be a help to you. And then today I wanted to just mention a couple live in another state, people I don't see but once every few years, but people I love and respect. And I was with happened to get together with the husband one day, quite a while ago, and he said, "I like watching your church services when my wife's not around." And I thought, and she's a great lady. I'm telling you, she is a quality lady and a great worker for God, and he is too. But I thought, I don't know if he was just being facetious or not, but I've heard comments like that. I've heard comments where somebody is doing something good. I'm not talking about bad, doing something good, but they're worried about what their spouse would think. And I think, whatever happened to loving your spouse? And it's not just love in the home, it's freedom in the home. My wife, of course, we have a ladies' conference here, pack the building out to overflowing every year in March or April. But, 2 or 3 times over the years, she's just said, "I think I'm going to drive up to or fly up to Mike Ray's ladies' conference." Well, Brother Ray is in Napa, California, north of the Bay Area, or north and east, I guess. And she doesn't have to clear her activities with me. We communicate. It's not like I come home and my wife's gone, and 3 days later I find out she's been in Napa. We don't do that. That's just common courtesy. But there's something about love and freedom and trust that goes on, and the reason I got to the Help for the Home podcast was because of this lesson this morning on relax and love each other. Just love your spouse. And look, if they're a drug pusher and a bank robber, if there's some liberal trying to destroy America, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about good things. There are home relationships where when someone wants to get out soul winning or to come to a special service at church, they've got to kind of salve things over so their spouse isn't offended. Who in their right mind could possibly be offended because their spouse wanted to go to church? That's just crazy. And yet it happens. Relax and love each other. And we're all different. Most mornings, I get up. My wife and I both get up early, and it's not character or all this stuff. It's usually you can only lie down for so long before your body hurts and keeps you awake and you can't go back to sleep. That's new to us, but it's life, and we understand that comes along with age, and we don't want to be pill poppers. And so, we may be up 4:35, sometimes 5:30. It would be rare, very rare to be after that. And we get up and we'll spend time in the Bible, and she with the dogs and her coffee and her Bible and stuff, and me in the other room without the dogs. And we spend our morning, and then at some point for many years, since I guess Josiah was born, I have been getting up, and after some Bible and prayer, I'll go do something, exercise. Over the years. It changes. My body's changed. Things I used to do, I can't do anymore. Like the kids' song, the things I used to do, I don't do them anymore. And that's because now it hurts, and I can't do those things anymore. But I go on an elliptical most mornings, and then do some weights, light upper body weights. And 15 minutes, 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 5 minutes, back and forth like that. So because of this life, walking is not as easy for me. For some reason, that elliptical doesn't bother me, but to walk very long, the impact of that walking. And so we used to walk a lot together. We don't walk much anymore because I'm wimping out. But my wife just started getting up long after she's up and walking our neighborhood just to get out and get her exercise. And that's what she wants to do. I never asked her about it. She never asked me about it. She may mention, hey, I'm on my way to walk or whatever. But it's a funny thing to me. It's like ketchup on a sandwich. I like ketchup on most sandwiches, not peanut butter and jelly, but meat and cheese type sandwiches, sub sandwiches, all that. My wife could not even imagine putting ketchup on a sandwich. French fries, the only place ketchup belongs in her mind. But she doesn't tell me how to eat or what to eat, and she doesn't say, oh, that's so disgusting, you do that. She did a little bit when we first got married. She was shocked. But there are things we do that are different from each other. But if you're married, you shouldn't chastise your spouse because of the things they do. It doesn't matter whether, for me, I like the yard. We've got fruit trees and a lawn, and we got flowers and cactus and succulent, not just cactus, but succulent type things. And I spend time out there, and it's good for me. It's quiet. And, and I don't bring, like right now, these days, our counters are covered with peaches. And I bring bags of peaches to people all over the neighborhood and at church and different things. But I don't come and say, now listen, I grew these peaches. Now you slice them and prepare them and freeze them so we got peaches during the winter. If she wants to do it, she does it. If she doesn't, then I eat them or we give them away or whatever. And most people don't mind fresh peaches and organic and all that good stuff. But we should just. My wife's never said a word about the time or money I spend on our yard. And those are just things, just relax and love your spouse. There are people listening to this right now whose spouse is gone. They would love the opportunity to relax and just love their spouse. Somebody wants to come home at the end of the day and sit in the recliner and doze off. Thank God that they came home. They could be at a bar. They could be out with somebody else. Be grateful. And don't try to run somebody. No adult should be trying to run another adult unless you hired them. I heard this funny story, and it's a stand-up comedian kind of guy, and he said, talking about marriage, and he said, I saw this older couple at the buffet. I think it was at a cruise or something, and he said, there's the man's hand going for the whole milk. And his wife said, we don't drink whole milk. And his hand just veered off and grabbed the 2% and kept going. And I thought, I just don't see that it's my job to tell my spouse what kind of milk to drink or how much sugar to put in their coffee. My wife makes her coffee about this much coffee, and then the rest, I don't know what all she puts in there, half and half and different things. It's her coffee. It's not mine. And look, we're adults. Stop trying to figure out how to control another adult. I remember one of our ladies came to me one day and she said, how can I get my dad to take his medicine? Well, unless he's got Alzheimer's or dementia or whatever, Leave your dad alone. Somebody else came to me, a lady, and ladies are fixers. No offense, ladies, but you know what I'm talking about. You want things done right, and sometimes you get involved where it's none of your business. But a lady came to me and said, how can I get my husband to read the Bible to my children? And I said, well, show me a Bible verse that says it's your job to get your husband to read the Bible to your children. And she just looked at me. And I said, well, of course it's a good thing for a man to read the Bible to his children, but it isn't your job. That's between him and God. If we would just relax, our homes could be much happier. I've talked about this over the years, but when my daughters were home, my wife, and often over the years, my sisters lived with us. And so my wife's sister and two daughters, they'd be watching Little Women and Anne of Green Gables. I just don't do that. I just can't sit and watch those shows. I love those ladies, my wife's sister, daughters, but I'm not watching those shows. But also when my youngest, he was almost an only child because he had a sister 8 years older, a sister 12 years older, and then a brother 14 years older. And so he was a little different arrangement, but we'd watch some movies, videos, and things, and DVDs, whatever. I remember watching some of the Lord of the Rings or the Hobbit or whatever, those kind of things. And my wife came in and she said, orcs getting their heads chopped off. She said, is he going to have nightmares watching that? And he was probably, I don't know how old, he was young. And I said, you going to have nightmares watching this? He said, no. I said, no, he's fine. Now, she's not going to sit and watch those shows with us. But she's also not going to tell us what to watch. Relax and love your spouse. In Genesis chapter 2, in Genesis 2:24, it says, therefore shall a man leave his father and mother and shall cleave unto his wife, and they two shall be one flesh. There should be a unity between you, but not a control. And if somebody's eating more than they should, or, the dumbest thing in the world is for you to nag your spouse about their weight. For you to go along and say, did you notice how much weight Mrs. So-and-so's been losing? That's a dumb thing to say. There are things that we shouldn't enter into. This is my spouse. I love them. And end of subject. Now, if I wasn't a pastor, and I retired somewhere along the way, or if I never was a pastor, whatever, I'd pick the church I'm going to. And if my wife wanted to follow me to that church, that would be her business. But if she picked a different church, that's her business. I just, in all these years of marriage, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 times ever have I said I really would prefer this. And she didn't have to do it. She's an adult. I don't boss anybody around. I don't yell. 42 years of marriage, I've never raised my voice to my wife. I've never yelled at her. We don't live like that. Relax. Have a relaxed environment at home. And, if your spouse likes to eat ice cream, my dad and mom, I don't know about all the time, but regularly, they'd end the day with ice cream. And my mom always had cookies for my dad. Most of the time, homemade cookies, but sometimes they'd be busy, both of them working. She'd buy some. She'd always be embarrassed. I've only got store-bought cookies, but they never got on each other. And my dad went to heaven. Probably the day he went to heaven, he had homemade cookies or ice cream. I don't know, but at least within a couple of days. And but relax. Quit trying to be so intense that you control your spouse. You just cannot control an adult very well. The children in our home, we got to teach and train. And if I'm a boss, I'm supposed to order those people that work for me, or I'm a manager. These jobs have to be done. But beyond that, that's just a lot of the tension that we have could be eliminated if we would just relax and love our spouse and laugh at them. We didn't grow up with a lot of church and Bible, but we had a great home. And I watched my grandma and grandpa live with us. My mom's parents lived with us for a long time. And I got to see their relationship. And there's just something wonderful about a home that, leave people alone. It's kind of like with the government. I don't want the government to mess with me. Leave me alone. In Romans chapter 14, there's just a verse I wanted to read here. In Romans 14, because we get evaluating our spouse's decisions and trying to make decisions on what they should do. It's their life. Let them do what they want. Again, I'm not talking about drugs and liquor and crime or whatever, but the idea that a godly Christian man would only watch our church services online when his wife is not around, shame on that wife. Just shame on that wife. The wife who wants to go down to the church and help out doing whatever, cleaning during the week or teaching a class. Shame on the husband who thinks it's his job to tell his wife whether she could go to church or do something. And not just that, maybe he wouldn't tell her, or in the case of the wife, that she wouldn't tell the husband what to do, but they would be so oppressed that they won't do it. Yeah, she's not going to say anything, but she's going to make life miserable. Or he's not going to say anything, but he's going to make everybody around him miserable because we did this and this. My job, I am commanded to love my wife. I'm commanded to dwell with her according to knowledge, giving honor unto my wife as unto a weaker vessel. That's a command of God. I am not commanded to tell her she can't watch Little Women, or love comes softly, or love comes like a tornado, or whatever. That is not my job. And we bring so much tension. So he says in Romans chapter 14, verse 4, who art thou that judgest another man's servant? To his own master he standeth or falleth. Yea, he shall be holden up, for God's able to make him stand. And what he's talking about here, he's talking about those who prefer to honor Saturday as the Sabbath, or others who said no Sabbath, we just take Sunday for church. And then he's talking about food. Some have special dietary rules and some don't. He said, let every man be fully persuaded in his own mind. Leave each other alone. And in our marriages, if your spouse wants to watch something, that's their business, not yours. If they want to watch it and they want you to watch it, now it's your business. Now, I think it's smart. We try to do things together. I think we ought to work at it. But our family, we don't watch a whole lot of stuff. But there's some things now and then my wife and I will watch something together, and I do it to be with her. And when my daughter and son-in-law moved in with us for a few years, he loved football. Well, I go down and sit and watch football with him just to be with him. But I would never have said, what are you doing? Spend all this time watching football. That's not it, folks. We've been commanded to love God and to love our neighbor. The greatest is the servant of all, not the boss of all. So let's just relax. Let your home be nice. Children, you need to tell your children what to do. Adult children, whole different story, very difficult. Not going to get into that. But your spouse, love your spouse and leave them alone. If your husband wants to make a sandwich out of a roast beef and a brownie, ask him if he wants chocolate syrup or mustard. Just what difference does it make? Life is too short to have tension and pressures in our home. That whole world out there is filled with pressure. Let's don't have it at home. I hope you have a good day. And if I can be a help with this stuff, listen to the sermons on Help for the Home. And then you're welcome to give me a call as well. Just have a great day. God bless you. Thanks for spending some time together with us.